In this mini lecture, I'm going to further discuss what we can look at or attend to or focus on when we analyze the restaurant reviews. It is important to realize that when you analyze a text, you can focus on a lot of things, anything, depending on what you are interested in or what you want to know more about. So this is an assignment in the writing classroom, and here I want to show you what we may look at. But again, this assignment does not come with a more practical research questions to guide our analysis. So I'm just trying to show you the possible ways to do it, and consider this as an experiment that or a tool that you can learn, so that in the future you can use what you have learned in this assignment to your own purposes in the future. All right. So this is what a typical Yelp review would look like. By the way, this is the website version of Yelp. I'm using the PC version to demonstrate. If you are using mobile app of Yelp, the UI may look different, but I think the most important elements would remain the same. So I would say it's natural for us to focus on the main text. For example, the rating from 1 to 5, and also the date when the rating happened, and also the texts as well as the pictures that comes with the review. However, would you actually pay attention to who the reviewer is, like their avatar picture, who they are, and maybe the elite badge, and where they are, and probably how many friends they have on Yelp, how many check-ins they have done, and how many photos they have posted? Would you pay attention to that kind of information? If the Yelp review example is not typical enough, let me show you another example from YouTube. So this is a random YouTube video I just located. So this is the main text, well, quote-unquote text. A video can be viewed as a text in my interpretation. This is what viewers would pay attention to. However, if you look at the paratexts, the text surrounding the main text, like the title of the video and the source, we get the latest information from CDC, and also, here's the title, sorry. And also we have hashtags, flaring sort of the topics of the video, and also we have paratext showing when this video was published and how many views it receives, and how many people like it and dislike it. Okay, it's very interesting. It seems that the overwhelming number of people dislike this video. I don't know why. And here also we have the account that uploaded this video, and also a quick introduction or summary or whatever the account wants to say about this video. And then we will also have the comment sections. So all of these things surrounding the video, that's what we call paratext. So what's the definition of paratext? According to Wikipedia, paratext is a concept in literary interpretation. The main text of published authors is often surrounded by other materials supplied by the authors, editors, printers, publishers, which is known as paratext. So I would say this definition comes from the print-based literacy age. But in the digital age that we live in right now, the example I just showed you can be better examples to illustrate what I mean by saying paratext. And paratexts are important, and it can be critical. Let's have a very quick look at these three reviews, random reviews I collected. So from our first impression, we will find the review on the left side to be more professional and convincing, and the two reviews on the right side, well, maybe not so. And we make that judgment not only from how detailed the reviews are. Apparently this one is much longer with more details, and these are much shorter. but also because of the paratexts. For example, with this one, with this account, we can see an avatar picture uploaded with a real name and with the location. And as we can see, she has connections on Yelp, she has many friends, and she has written 276 reviews and uploaded almost 1,000 photos. And she's also an elite member in 2020. And also here we can see these buttons. Well, it shows people react to this review, and 12 people find this review to be useful, 5 find them to be funny, and 3 think this review is very cool. So this is the feedback this review has received. While these 2 reviews, well, we don't see much feedback, and no avatar pictures, no friends, only 2 reviews, and this one 5 reviews. I would say the paratext here is influencing our judgment about how convincing or trustworthy this reviewer is, right? Now let's zoom in and focus on Grace's review, which apparently is a popular and helpful review. As we can see from the avatar, it shows a picture of a happy and probably high-end gourmet who can be particular about food. And as we can see, she's local, she's an Arizonian and a local Tempe resident. That means probably she dines a lot in Tempe area, and therefore she has more experience with the restaurants in Tempe. So I would say all the information here, it gives us a sense of who she is, and she knows what she's doing, and she's experienced and maybe a critical diner. And all of this contributes to her image as a gourmet or a professional foodie. And I would say not only her profile picture, all the important information, the elite badge, as well as the rating, the photos, and her texts and people's feedback on her reviews, it establishes her ethos as a gourmet. If you don't know what the word ethos means, here is the Wikipedia definition for ethos. From Greek word meaning character, that is used to describe the guiding beliefs or ideals that characterize a community, nation, or ideology. So in our cases, the ethos of a gourmet can come from the factors I mentioned before. Alright, so that's just one example to show you the power of paratext. And now let's look at another example, which is more extreme and very funny. So I assume most of you are familiar with the website Pornhub. Of course, it's a place for porns. The day when Trump had his inauguration speech, Pornhub, well, someone on Pornhub airs the video and titled the video as "Rich White Man F the entire country at once." So the funny thing, okay, so first of all, this is paratext. The video itself is the main text. Well, this is a screenshot of that page. I don't think the original page exists any longer, so I only have the screenshot, which again reminds us of the importance of preserving the screenshot of the data. All right. So the video here is the main text, and then all the text surrounding it, including how many people likes it, dislikes it, and how many views it receives. And it says 75% actually like this, and most importantly, the joke comes from the title. So as a as a porn website, the F word is mostly used literally on that website, but here it is, in this case, it's used figuratively, which is why it's funny. So yeah, and that's another powerful and vivid example to illustrate paratexts. To sum up, when you approach the reviews you collect, not only pay attention to the main texts, but also pay attention to the paratexts, because they can speak as much as the main text. Alright, the second thing you may want to consider is what I call unique contribution. And this is especially important when you visit and draft your review for the restaurant you are going to visit in the future. So when we look at a review, we want to think about what is trying to contribute to. Because what makes a review meaningful? If you simply repeat and recycle other people's ideas. Say if the existing 100 reviews all mention the food, and then probably you can say less about the food, but pay more attention to things that are not mentioned before. Right? So consider what you can contribute to the contribution. And also consider what information do Yelp users care about a restaurant. Right? We do have good news. At least we can have one unique contribution, the time. Because time flies, and your dining experience yesterday or 10 days ago or 1 year ago, it may not apply to the people who visit that restaurant today, tomorrow, the day after tomorrow. So by drafting a review about your recent dining experience can always contribute to the community, because maintaining quality, well, it's something difficult actually for a restaurant to do. So at least we have one unique contribution by providing the latest impression experience of that restaurant. And I can show you another example of unique contribution. So this comes from one of my former students, Leo, and he says, I choose to review an ice cream shop because she didn't get many reviews, and that's why I chose her. So I really love this sentence because Leo is conscious of his choice to review a place that did not get many reviews. And here I comment on it and said, you mean your review gets a better chance to stand out since the number of your competitors is low, which is true. If a restaurant receives less number of reviews, then your reviews will become more important because it's the only thing that people can rely on. If you're the first one to review a restaurant, then your opinion and your rating could influence even more people, can even make a big difference. So here's my advice. Before you draft your own Yelp review in the future, read at least 10 diverse reviews before you draft your own review. Think about how you may contribute to the conversation for other reviewers. And keep that question in mind when you analyze your collected reviews. And it sort of ties to the question, what do these reviews have in common, and what makes them different, what makes them stand out, what stand out to you, and that kind of thing. Now let's focus on the prompt, what they have in common and what makes them unique. When you respond to this prompt, you need to quote very specific sentences to explain. And here comes the mini lecture on the concept paraphrasing, analyzing, and quoting. So the first one is that the reviewer says, I love spicy food, but this place has made me cry, so know that before you go. By quoting the original sentence, put them in quotation marks. That's what we mean by saying quote or quotation. And if you want to paraphrase it, then it probably goes this way. She also alerts the people about the spiciness of the food. So here we are paraphrasing, or we are explaining what's going on. And then we have analysis. Grace alerts people to the spiciness of the food by stressing on the fact that she herself, being a spicy food lover, still cry. There's a direct quote from her sentence, because of the spicy food. And that is more convincing than simply saying the food is spicy, since claiming something too spicy can be highly personal. Now, through this example, I hope you can tell the difference between direct quote, paraphrasing, and analysis. Now you may ask, why is it necessary to paraphrase, to explain, and to analyze? Can't we just direct quote the sentence because it's sort of transparent and everyone should know what it means? So why should I paraphrase and why should I analyze? Good question. The short answer is data don't talk by themselves. In this assignment, interpreting a Yelp review may be more straightforward, but when you do complicated research with complicated data, it's necessary and it's your duty as a researcher, as a scholar, to interpret the data, to tell your audience what the data means in your interpretation, in your theoretical framework. And also, even with the same data, we can have different interpretations. Let me give you some example. If you claim, I'm top 1% student in my class, and then what if your class has only one student? And if you say, I have never had any boyfriends, and maybe you have had girlfriends before, we don't know. And if you say, farewell, I do not wish to see you anymore, and probably you don't hate me, probably you just love me so much that you can't stand seeing me with someone else. So all these words, texts, if we treat them as data, then they are open to all kinds of interpretations. So it's very important for us to do the interpretation for the readers, because you are making the argument. You are making an argument to convince your readers, and therefore it's your responsibility to quote the data, to draw our attention to specific parts of the data, to tell a story about the data. Therefore, when you quote any parts of the data, it's necessary to explain it, to paraphrase it, to summarize it for us. All right, so remember, keep that in mind when you analyze the reviews. So we just discussed paraphrasing and summarizing. These two concepts are about what they do or what the texts are doing. And then I want to introduce the concept rhetorical move. And this concept concerns with why they do it. Let me try to show you an example. So this is a Yelp review I published for a local restaurant. And because of this review, I received 10% discount whenever I dine in that restaurant because the restaurant owner really likes this review. And I wrote some of the part in Chinese, my first language, and here I give you the translation of it. By the way, you can do the same thing if your review comes in any languages other than English. This is a diverse and multilingual writing classroom, so I really appreciate all the language resources you can bring in. And here comes a question. Why do I write this review, the first half in English and the second half in Chinese? Why would I do that? This apparently is a rhetorical move. I write the first part in English and the second part in Chinese, but why do I do that? What's the purpose? You can consider it. You can pause the lecture here for a few seconds, consider it by yourself, and then continue the lecture. Assuming that you have your own answer now, and now I'll give you my response. I would say because this is a Chinese restaurant, and then I am resorting to my identity as a Chinese, because I write in Chinese, to establish my ethos as a critical gourmet with Chinese stomach. That's the purpose. And also in the review, in the Chinese part, I mention it's my third year in the US, away from hometown, and I say I never thought I could taste noodles that are similar to Xiangyang, which is my hometown, beef noodles. You can see my tears in my eyes. So again, why should I mention how many years I have been away from my hometown? This again is a rhetorical move with purposes. I'm trying to build a certain kind of emotions. An international student who is far away from home and somehow managed to taste something similar to the food in her hometown. And I would say that kind of emotion could resonate with many other fellow international students here. So that's a rhetorical move I am taking. And many people would confuse paraphrasing, summarizing with rhetorical move analysis. So here I want to show you an example. This also comes from one of my former students. When he attempts to analyze the review I wrote, he says, then the teacher came to the United States for about 3 years, and the teacher missed the Chinese food, so she went to the restaurant to eat it. What surprised the teacher was that the food in the restaurant was surprisingly popular with the teacher, such as the lamb kebabs and the noodles in his house. Alright, so this is not actually analysis. This is just recapping or paraphrasing and summarizing of what I wrote already. So I point out, I tell him, you are just paraphrasing my words rather than analyzing it. If you want to analyze it, then you need to think, why would I mention missing my hometown in China in a Yelp review? And what is the purpose of it? Why? These are similar questions to previous questions I raised, like, why would I include 2 languages in a review? And why would I say capitalize the letter the THE? And also, why should I mention I brought American colleagues and Asian colleagues here? So that's rhetorical moves. And analyzing why I am doing so, that's what we call analysis. Alright, that's enough about paraphrasing, direct quoting, and analyzing and rhetorical moves. Now let's talk about comparing 2 reviews. So here I'm showing you screenshots of 2 different reviews on one restaurant. You can pause the video and read the slides by yourself. And then I'm going to show you a sample text analyzing or comparing the 2 reviews. As you read these 2 reviews, consider which one do you find to be more helpful, which one sounds more professional, and which one you like more, right? The review on the left side is written by Jenny, and the review on the right side is written by Jane. And here is the sample text to analyze the differences and similarities between the 2 reviews. So I begin with a claim. Both reviews establish their ethos as professional foodies. It should be both reviewers establish their ethos, not reviews, but reviewers. Jenny says, so that's the one on the left, I just moved here from San Diego, where there are a bunch of great ramen shops. So say direct quote, and then followed by explanation or an analysis, which implies her rich experiences with ramen restaurants. I would say this is more like analysis. And Jane says, I love to eat, and I refuse to eat anything I don't think tastes good. Refuse. And she emphasizes on the word refuse by repeating and capitalizing this word at the end of the sentence, followed by further elaboration. I don't mind spending money to eat well. So this talks about her budget. The following claim particularly implies that she is not sensitive to the prices of the food. Again, this is analysis. While some reviewers can be critical of or sensitive to the prices, Jane is transparent about her attitude towards prices. So here's the difference. Jane establishes her ethos as a professional foodie better than Jenny does. And here comes a mini conclusion. So I would say this is a sample text for you to refer to when you compare reviews. You need to quote, you need to explain, you need to paraphrase, and then analyze. Alright, here comes the last part of the prompt. What criteria do you adopt to evaluate these reviews? And here I want to refer to a good example from my former student, Gang Xiang. As you read, please be aware that it is in no way perfect. The language is not polished. It's just the first draft. The final version of the evaluation is much better. But I'm showing you the first draft because I want you to not worry about the language in your first draft. You can work on that later. The main message is here. He explicitly mentions what kind of atmosphere does it have and what activities do I think. This is another element. The last factor is the attitude of the waiter. So I really love this point because it shows the author is considering what factors we should consider when we evaluate restaurant reviews, when we analyze them. What factors is expected, which aspect of the restaurant should be mentioned, should be included in the review. And maybe we have other criteria, for example, how much details a review could include. But you can, of course, have your own criteria, and that's something for you to consider when you read through the restaurant reviews and have your own answers to raise in your essay. All right, and I think I have talked too much about the instructions, and now it's your time to read the prompt again with the lecture in mind, with the new knowledge you just gained, and then close read the reviews you collected, and then draft an essay.